So yes, so we have this presentation. I want to explain all of this. Introduction to SQL and databases using MySQL DBMS. So I'll explain all this. So this is what we're doing today. Let me open MySQL. So if you have downloaded it, this is what you see. This is how the workbench looks like. Yes. So this is your connection. You can log in with this. Some of you have to put in because it will tell you to it will tell you to it will tell you I'm coming. Let me open a new. Hold on, I'm coming. No. Okay. So it will actually tell
Hello.
you to
Sorry, please. Is there a link? Is that sorry? Is there a link you could share for the SQL? Because following the video steps, I was able to download something, but the thing is, it doesn't seem, it's not same. It's not opening. So I don't know if there's a link you can share, so I can use the link to just directly go there and download.
which one are you talking about? Is it the
Like,
video I sent?
yeah, you sent the video, yes, and I tried to watch the video to follow the steps, but it's not. What I downloaded is doesn't seem to open for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Okay, I would. Okay, who is talking, please? So I would know.
Mr. Abubakar.
Okay, no
So I was
problem.
saying, is there a link that you can share?
I will go to. I would just go to the link and maybe share to the group.
All right, thank you.
Yes. So this is the user interface for MySQL.
Sorry, Mr. Ahmed. Someone is saying he can't join the class. He's unable to join.
Oh, the person waiting. Okay, Mr. Bernard. Okay. Sorry, Mr. Bernard. Sorry. Our governor. I didn't even notice your name in class. Sorry for that. So, um, I know
It's
what
not
to
it's not a Man U fan, so you won't see him.
Let us start this one. No, no, voila. I will not say anything. Um, Probably after this class, I will have time for you people. So this is our workbench. This is how it looks like. While you are doing your um configuration, while you are installing it, it will ask you to put your login details. I think you put a user and a password. That password you must not forget the password. The user and the password you must not forget because anytime you want to log in, you have to log in with your password because we have some files and these are databases. We have some databases that might be kind of you might want to keep it. So putting a password, nobody has access to it. Only if they have your password. You understand? So while you are doing it, it must have asked you to input a password and you must not forget this password. So that's the first thing. Let's before we come to this whole place, let's see. Can you see? Now we are writing. So we need to be very careful because what we write must be correct. Can you see we are writing a lot of things. There is no more clicking it. Now it's writing. So it's more or less like you're writing codes now. So and I need you to be careful and let's understand what we want to write. What are we writing? Introduction to SQL. So what are you going to be doing? Understand what SQL is. Understanding the meaning of databases. So which RDBMS are we using to talk about all of these things? So let's go straight into the. Hope you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So what is SQL? SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Structured Query Language. So now it is I don't want to use the big English. I also want you to understand. It is a language, just like speaking English or speaking Yoruba. It is a language. Now it is a language that this particular software understands. So you speak it to that software that this is what I want to do. It's like saying your phone now, you want to type. Let's assume you want to type something to your phone. Not like you're sending it to someone. Or you want to type to ChatGPT. Let's assume you want to type to ChatGPT and you're typing in Yoruba. ChatGPT is not configured to understand. Let's assume ChatGPT is not configured to understand Yoruba and you're chatting in Yoruba. You might not really understand what you're saying. Only if you are typing in what the language ChatGPT understands, which is English. So now the language they understand is called Structured Query Language (SQL). So SQL is not a software. SQL is not a software. Like maybe we are saying you want to download SQL. No, SQL is a language. It's like saying Yoruba. It's like saying you are speaking English. So you say you are speaking SQL. You can write SQL. It's a language, structured query language. It is a language that we use to manage and manipulate relational databases. So when I say relational databases, we mean when I say structured, when I say structured, it is in form of tables. You know, when you have an Excel spreadsheet now, it is structured. You have the rows, you have the columns. It is structured. So when you have that type of thing in your database, when you have things like that in your database and you want to get information from that particular thing, from that particular table, we use this language called SQL to bring in those information we need. Maybe it was in Excel. The way you use your pivot table, the way you use your summary to bring in those things. Now, that is the language Excel understands when you are writing those language, or when you are doing DAX. Your Power BI understands DAX. But in this case, what we understand here is SQL, Structured Query Language. Now, it allows users to perform various operations. So what are we going to be doing with that language? We use it to query, we use it to update things, we use it to create tables, we can use it to create tables, we can use it to create database itself. We are still going to talk about the meaning of database. So when I say query, we need to bring out information from a whole lot. We need to do a lot of things from a whole lot. I want to select some information from the whole table. I don't need the whole table, I just want to bring in some information from it. So understanding databases. So I call database like a folder that houses a lot of tables. Your table is your data. So and your table is a structured data already. So when I say database is an organized collection of structured data, it means an organized collection of your tables. So when you have look at the last project that we did. We did project on pizza, right? Yesterday. So we had how many tables for that project? We had like 4 tables. So if I was to do that project on SQL, those 4 tables now they will be in a particular database. So if I have another project that is aside pizza's project, I'll open a new database for that project. I hope you are getting what I'm saying. So it's an organized collection of structured data. So they provide a central storage location for data and ensure data integrity and security. So now, let me quickly show you something. Let me go back to my SQL and look at this. You can't see this. I can, but I don't know if you can comment. Just, I think it's only this that can. I can't. There's nothing I can do to this. So now look at this. The bike. Can you see? I have this bike, clean, COVID. I have a lot of projects here. Now these are databases. Yeah. Inside this, we have a lot of tables. Inside this particular one, the bike, I have tables inside. There's another one called clean. Inside that particular database, there's a lot of tables inside. So these are databases. And it's like it's specific to different projects. So that was what I did. So for the sales project, this is database. There's another one on palliatives. This is it. This is a database I created for palliatives. So it will teach you how to create a database, how to load your data inside your database, and how to query your database. That's how to bring out information from your database. You can have more than one table in your database. You can have as many tables as possible in your database. So database is like a folder that houses relational database. When I say relational, those tables you are putting in the same database, they are related. So it's not like that pizza project now, the four tables are related. It's not like I'll now go and bring another table from somewhere else and I'll put it inside. Do you understand? That's why we call it relational. So common types of databases include relational databases. So there are some databases that is used to house relational, they are used to house relational objects, like tables that are related. There are databases that are not for only tables that are related. We call them NoSQL, and the meaning is not only SQL. So NO does not mean it's not only. The NO here means not only. Then object-oriented databases. So we'll be talking about all of that. We'll be talking about all of that. So now, what is that particular software that we are using to speak that language? That particular software that we are using to speak that language. So the name of that software, we have a lot of softwares that we can use to speak SQL. A lot of softwares can speak it. So we have Microsoft Server can speak it. We have Progress. We have MySQL, which is this MySQL. We have Oracle. We have a lot, but the one we want to use is MySQL. That doesn't mean if you have others you can use it. You can decide to use that. So the one we want to use is MySQL. Now the name of all these softwares that can speak SQL is called RDBMS, Relational Database Management System. So MySQL is what? An RDBMS. Is a relational database management system that we use in speaking what? This language called SQL. Do you understand? So it's not only data analysts that use MySQL, web developers use it, data engineers, data scientists, data analysts, we use it. It's just that we use it for different purposes. So MySQL is known for its performance, scalability, and easy to use. Its performance in terms of its efficiency, scalability in terms of how large it is, so you can store as many information as you like, and ease of use. And another thing is its flexibility. I can connect this to my Power BI. I can connect it to every other thing. So it is flexible. It's not like everything you want to do, you do it on your SQL. You can actually work outside of SQL, still having it connected to your what? RDBMS. So now in the ease of use. So I hope you understand what I've just explained. Before I continue with the explanation, the name of the language is SQL. The software that we use is called the RDBMS, Relational Database Management System, that we use in speaking that language. And the RDBMS that we want to use for this class is what? It's called what? MySQL. Some people are not using MySQL. Some people are using. I have more than one RGB. Look at this is another one that I use. This is Microsoft Server. This is PGAdmin, Postgres. This is Postgres. But what we want to use for this class is what? MySQL. There's still IBM there. IBM is still there. You can use IBM also. So, but what we want to use here is MySQL. So you can decide to use any one you like. But for this class, we are using MySQL. Just like the same way some people are using Excel. Some people are not using Excel. Some people are using Google Sheets. Do you understand? Some people are using Google Sheets. And if you are using Google Sheets, you are still going to get the same thing. This is a Google Sheet. This is different from our the Google Sheet is where we get our. This is a Google Sheet. It's more or less like an Excel sheet. You understand? This is another software that is different from Excel. this table sheet. It's just the same way we have that. So now, what are the basis of SQL queries? So how do we query the database? Now let's assume we have table inside the database already. We've created our database and we have table inside. The table consists of a lot of informations. Your database contains a lot of information. We have a lot of tables inside. Those tables contain a lot of columns and a lot of rows. There might be a specific column you want to get. You not all the columns. There might be a specific information you want to get. So what do? You use SQL to select information. So you can use it to retrieve data from a database. So maybe I want to get some information from a database, not everything inside it. There are some specific information I want to get. So I can use it to select. I can use my SQL language to select something from my database. I can use it to insert something inside the database. I can use it to insert something. Maybe I want to insert a particular table inside my database and I want to add new column or I want to add new rows to that particular table. So I can use SQL to do that. I can update. Update in the sense that maybe there's a column there that I need to do some modification. I need to maybe change the type of that column. I need to rename the column. I want to do something to the column. I can do that using SQL queries. I can delete. I can decide to delete some rows. I can decide to do some things. So those are the things we can use our SQL for. Those are the basic things. There's a lot of things that you can use. So how do we do this? How do we do all of this? Before we start, let's come here. So before you can even start using anything, you need to create a database first. So it's from that database you start putting your tables, right? You create the folder first, then from the folder you create your table. So how do we create a database? So these are the to create a database in MySQL, use the following SQL command. So look at it. Look at this command. Let me highlight it. The command SQL understand. The one thing about this SQL language is that it's more or less like English. It's like we are speaking English. It's not like the codes in Excel that you write some, you open brackets. No. Yeah, it's more or less like you are saying. Once you read it, you might easily get what we are trying to say. This is the code I'll write. Create database. Then I'll put the name of the database I want to write. I want the name, just like the name of your folder. If you want to open a folder on your system, you click on new. Like now, you want to open a folder. Come, let me just go to. If I want to open a folder now, new folder. The next thing to bring is what I have to put the name of the folder. That's what it will bring. So now, let me delete this. So that is the name of the folder. So what is going to be the name of the folder? So database name. That is the name of the database that we want to use. So you can decide to put anything here. For these two, create and database stands, then you put the name. Let me just put this. Let me put this so you understand what I'm talking about. Let me put this in double quotation so you understand that this can change. But I don't want to put in double quotation. You might be thinking maybe you have to put a double quotation. Let me just leave it as then the database name. Database name. So if I want to name it IJAN, the name of my database, I want to name it IJAN. So I'll say create database, then I'll put IJAN. Then I'll put now. How do we tell our RDBMS that I'm done with the code I'm writing? We end it with what? A semicolon. A semicolon. So once I'm done with the semicolon, I run it. Once I run, it will understand the language that okay, this person wants to what? Create a database, and the name of the database is there already. So it will create it. So now, what if I want to create a table? What do? I put create table, then I put the table name I want to create. Now, you know that our table consists of what? Columns, right? Our table consists of columns. Then I will start putting all the columns I want to what? I want to put inside. Let me let me let me explain this again. To create a table, to create a table, using SQL. What will I write? I'll write create table, then I'll put the table name. Let's assume that the name of our table now is October. I'll say create table October. That October now, on that table, that October table, consists of everything I'm explaining. We are still going to do the practical thing. I just want to explain. So our table will consist of columns. That one is certain. So now I have to put the name of the column. Let's assume that on that October table, the first column there is name. So what will be here? Column one. Column one will be, what is our column one? Name. And what is the data type of name? It is what? A text, right? Name is going to be a text. So the other type is going to be what? A text. What are the constraints? That's another thing we'll be talking about later. But you have something like not null. Something like maybe it has to be like a decimal. You have to put some maybe in two decimal places or something. So there are some constraints that it's not compulsory you put a constraint. It's not compulsory, but it's compulsory you put in your data type. Your data type is compulsory. Constraint is not really compulsory. But what will happen? What are the constraints? There are some columns that while you are inputting the values of your table, you don't want them to input an empty, you don't want to have an empty cell. So you have something like a not null as a constraint. So if you are telling your RGBMS that while you are inputting it, if anybody is inputting on that particular column and they are not putting any value inside that particular cell, inside the particular cell in that column, you must not accept it. So that is the meaning of some constraints we'll be talking about. We're talking about it later. I'm coming. I don't know if you are getting what I'm trying to explain. But this is how to create our table. You can see it's more or less like we are speaking English. We want to join our classroom. So, oh, sorry. So, we've done this. So now, how do I retrieve? Retrieving data is select statement. How do I retrieve? I want to get a particular information from my SQL. How do I get it? I want to get some information from my SQL. How do I get it? So we use something called the select statement. The select statement is used to get data from your database. So how do you do it? Let's assume that I have a column. Let's use uh, comment. Look at this data. Let's assume that I only want to see the date column and the branch column. The date column and the branch column from this table. And the name of this table is called sales. Let's call it sales. The name of this table is called sales. And I want to get only the date and the branch. What do I tell my RTBMS? What do I tell it that okay I want to do? What's the language I will speak? We use a select statement. So select, because I'm selecting only two columns, I'll just put out only the two columns I want to select. If I'm selecting more than two, I will write out all the columns I want to write. If I'm selecting all the row columns, there are cases where you want to select all the row columns. I will tell you what to put. Now, if I want to select, look at the select, you list the name of the columns you want to bring out, you want to retrieve. Column one, column two, from which table? So you put the name of the table from which table. And there are some cases where you want to have a condition. You might say, okay, I want to bring out all the columns where let's go back to our example. I want to say, okay, where the branch is. I want to bring out the data and the branch, but I want to see for only branch that is Ikoyi. I want to see for only branches that is in Ikoyi. So I want to see only Ikoyi. So that's the condition. So I also want to select the data and the branch from the table name, and I'll put a condition. We'll be talking about this condition later. It's not compulsory. There's cases that you don't have a condition. If you don't have a condition, you stop here. It's only when you have a condition you continue with the where clause. So now, for that our illustration now, I want to select the date and the branch. What will I do? I will say select date, comma, branch from sales table, and it will bring out what? The date and the branch column for me. from the sales table. So that is what it will do. That's how we retrieve data. So if I have condition, there are ways that I can post my condition. We use the where clause to add to attach a condition. Then there are some situations that, in fact, majority of the time you have situation, you have conditions. So there are ways in which we put our condition. There are ways in which we put our condition. So let's continue. Let's continue. Before I continue, any question? Any question for now? Hope you guys can hear me, sha.
Yes, we can
Yes,
hear
we
you.
can.
Hope you are getting it.
It's
Okay.
clear.
Okay. Let's continue.
The practical will make it clearer.
Yes. No, when we get to the practical, you understand better. I just want you to understand what we'll be doing in the practical. I don't just want to go to the practical. We are doing majorly what we are doing is more of writing. You understand? So I want you to understand what we'll be writing first before we start the writing. So now you don't need to start, at the end of the class you have this slide. You can still go through the slide and just see. So now modifying data. Maybe you want to insert, you want to update, you want to delete. I've talked about this before. So use the insert statement to add new rows, update to modify your existing data. That is, maybe you want to change the column type, sorry, the data type of a particular column. Or maybe you want to remove rows. You want to remove some rows, use delete statement. So now look at this now. We have a lot of things our SQL can do. Just like when we are having sum. Yesterday we did sum of revenue, right?
Mario, is it rows? Can we delete column too?
Yes, you can delete column.
Okay.
So there are cases where, like yesterday we did, when we were doing our project yesterday, we did sum of revenue. So if I wanted to do something like that, what will I do? Select sum, then I'll take the revenue column. From which table? I'll put the name of the table, from sales table. So to bring out the sum of the sales for me. So these are some of the functions we'll be dealing with: the count function, the sum function. Those are functions. There are a lot of functions though. So those are the functions we'll be dealing with. Now, another thing, we have something called joins. Joins. I don't need you. I just want to give you an overview of what we'll be doing. Give just an overview of what we'll be doing. So for our Power BI, what we did was that we did modeling, right? To join our tables. Now, for SQL, you join using your words. You join using your words. So you type the way you want to join it. So it's not like you have to click, you type it. So now let's assume that from the branch table, I want to take their manager. And from the sales table, I want to take the revenue. I want to take the revenue from the sales table, and I want to take the manager from the branch table. And both tables, they have to be in the same database because they are related. So how do I tell SQL that go to the sales table, take their revenue, and connect it with what? The branch table, and you bring out the manager from that particular table for me. So there's a way we join. We join the table. There's a join statement we use. So now, how do we join? We'll be talking about that too. So we have different types of join. We have inner join, we have full join, we have left join, we have right join. Inner join, right join, left join, full join. So those are the type of joins we'll be talking about. Then what is going to be the SQL statement when we want to join two or more tables together to get a particular information? Now look at this one. Select orders id, comma, customers name. Now what they are telling you is that select from the orders table. There's a table called orders. Help me pick the order id. From the customers table, help me pick the customer's name. I hope you understand this first line. So that is what they are trying to say. I don't need you to understand in depth though. I just need you to understand what I'm just saying in context. When we start the practical, you understand better. So what I'm trying to do is they wrote orders dot order ID. This is telling you that there's a table called what? Orders. And there is what? A column in that table called what? Order ID. This is telling us that there is what? A table called what? Customer. And in that customer table, there is what? A column called what? Customer name. So what am I doing? I'm saying what? From the orders table, select what? Order ID. Okay. From the customers table, select what? Customer's name. From which table am I taking it from? I'm taking it from the orders table. Now I have two tables I want to take from. I want to take from the orders table and I want to take from what? The customers table too. So I will say take from orders table, join the customers table too. Join the customers table. So from here now, this statement is showing me that I've joined two tables together to bring out this. I've joined two tables together to bring out this. I don't need you to understand the context of what I'm saying. Don't worry, you understand when we start the practical thing. But if you have any question, you can still let me know. You can still let me know if you have a question. So then another thing is there are a lot of functions. Grouping function, aggregate function. You know the way we understand our pivot, you know, when you want to do something like a pivot table, not like a pivot table, when you want to have your answer in terms of an entity, you want to group by an entity. Okay, let me say something like this. Let me go back to this. Okay, we have a lot of pizza here, different types of pizza. If you look at pizza here, it's appearing more than once. So I want to get for pizza, for the whole pizza, for each of these pizzas, I want to get the total revenue that was generated. Then I have to group by the pizza sold. So it's like, you know, taking, if you remember what we did in our pivot table, if I drag that pizza sold column to the rows in pivot table, all those values will come out one one. They will come out uniquely, right? So how do I do that on SQL? We use something called the group by function. So for it to come out one by one, do you understand? For it to come out one by one, so we use the group by function. There's still an aggregate function. An aggregate function, there's a sort function if you want to sort your data. Aggregate function is like this sum. Another aggregate function is like a maximum, minimum, average, those aggregate functions. So you can still sort. If you want to sort, you use order by clause. So those are the things we'll be doing. And you see why this is the way, why I'm explaining this. You understand why I'm explaining this later on. So I still have another presentation. I have two presentations. And I want to finish those two for this class. So before I continue with this, I need to let's talk. So Mr. Joseph, Mr. Joseph,
Yes, sir.
yes. So it's more or less like I've been the one talking for the past 45 minutes or so. So I just want to ask us if we have. I will ask some questions round. So um, we talked about SQL. Is SQL a software or a language?
It's a language.
Language. So those softwares that can speak that language is called what?
Structured.
Yes, RDBMS.
RDBMS.
RDBMS. You understand? Yeah, what RDBMS. So those are the software. So you would understand that okay, this is the software I want to use. Some people ask you which DBMS are you using? You understand? So you'll be able to tell them that I'm using MySQL. So that's what we are using. Some people are not using MySQL. Some people are using. I have more than my. I am not using only MySQL. There are some projects that I will decide that okay, for this project I'm not using MySQL. I want to use something else. You know, it just based on you. It's not like what I have can't do it. It can do it too. And the language is similar. The language I speak to MySQL is similar to what I would the language I will speak to Microsoft Server. Is the language I will speak to IBM. Just some little tweaks. So that's another thing. Mrs. Perpetua, thank you, Mr. Joseph. Mr. Perpetua, I'll mute your mic.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
So, which question am I going to ask? So if I want to get something from my database, which statement am I going to use?
Get data.
Yes, to get something. Maybe I want to get a column from my database. Which
Select.
Mr. Dara, Mr. Dara, please. So which
Union.
is going to be the select statement? Do you understand?
Mm, mm.
If I want to get something from a database, I will get this. All these things I'm asking you, there's no way we'll finish this data. You know understand because you write and write and write. Don't worry.
So it's more like coding.
You're coding now.
Okay.
You're coding now. It's more like coding. You are coding
Hmm?
because coding is Python is another language. Python is a language. Python is not a software tool. Python is a language. Do you understand?
Okay.
So
Well,
what we'll be downloading for our Python? It's not like I will tell you to go and download Python. No, I'll give you a software that has a notebook where you can write that language. We call it Jupyter Notebook. So if it's on that Jupyter Notebook, you will write your Python language. So the language we are speaking here is still what? SQL. Do you understand? So by the time we leave SQL and we go to Python, Python is not a software. We are writing Python on a particular notebook that understands Python. Do you understand? So that is it. So so let's continue with the second slide. Let's continue with the second slide. So now, all these statements that I said we write, I said you can insert, you can select, you can create, you can do a lot of things. They are divided into two. We have the first one called um, data definition language, and the second one is called data manipulation language. So the first one, data definition language, and the second one is called manipulation language. So I'll be telling you what both language does and how we can use both language. So let's start. Data definition language. So just like the name, it's used for defining and managing database structures and schemas. So what do I mean? No too much of English. This is where you say, okay, this is the way I want to structure my database. It's not about it's not about you retrieving something from the database now. You are telling me that this is the way I want the structure of my database to be. You are managing the even after you have created it, you can still manage it. You can still say, okay, you've created the structure already. You can still say, no, I want to tweak the structure. I don't want it like this again. I want it like this again. So how am I going to do it? Those language that I'll be using to do those things is called DDL, data definition language. So it's used to manage the database. So how do I do that? To create a structure for our database, we use the create statement. If you have created the structure and you want to tweak it, use the modify statement. You are still dealing with the structure of that data. And you can still drop a particular, you can drop a database, you can drop, when I say drop, it means to delete. You can delete a table from your database. You can drop the whole database too. You can drop columns, same thing as deleting columns. So now these are the statements, create statements, alter statements, drop table, you know, these are statements that we can use in defining our database. Data definition language. It's more or less like you are creating a structure or you are managing the structure you have already for your database. Then data, okay, you can read all this up. You can read all this up. So let's go to data manipulation. So what am I doing with data manipulation? I have the structure there already. Then I want to bring out some information from it. I want to bring out some information from it. I want to retrieve some things. So what are those things? The select statements to select it. So I want to add new rules. You understand? I want to add new rules into a particular table. And I don't think this update should be there. I'm coming. Then maybe I want to delete some rules. I want to okay update in sense that I want to change for a particular column. I want to change the data type. Do you understand? I want to update the data type. So those are the what? Those are the two languages. Is data definition language and data manipulation language. So those are the two languages we have. So real world scenarios of using DDL, creating a new database and defining its schema. So when you are creating a new database, when you want to create a new database, you use a statement called a create statement where we say create database and the database name. So that is a DDL. So to add or remove columns is a DDL. To drop tables is a DDL. So benefit of using DDL in a database. So it ensures proper organization and structure of data. So when you use your DTF very well, you'll be having a organized structure for your data. So it facilitates data integrity and consistency through constraints. So your data as I was saying, with this now, with this, you are creating a database, you are putting related tables inside the database. You are creating an organization already. So it's not like for your pizza, the branch data is in a particular database, the same data is in another database. No, everything is you have a folder for each of them. You understand? So it will even enhance the work you are doing because you can only use one database at a time. Why query? Because because you have a lot of database on your DBMS. Your DBMS will ask you that which database do you want me to work on? You tell your DBMS that this is the database I want you to work on. So anything you are asking your DBMS is taking those statements, those language into that database and querying only that database. If you want to query another database, you have to change it as don't query this database again. You have to give it another database you want it to query. So there's an organization. There's an organization. So I think I've explained all the statements. I've explained all the statements. I'll make all this. I will send all this to you. I've explained all this. So DDL focuses on the structure, while DML focuses on manipulation. So you can read all this. I want to do something before. So I want to show you some things. Yes. So look at it. This is what we have here. This is a tab where we write our codes. This is the tab where we have our codes. You can see, look at what we have here. These are our databases. Those databases we are talking about. This is it. If I open this up, can you see? Here I have tables, I have views, I have stored procedures, I have functions. We're talking about all of this data. So now I have tables here. If I open this table, can you see the tables I'm having? I have a calendar, customer, internet sales, products, budget. So these are the tables I'm having inside this particular what database. Let me open another one. Now look at this. This sales data. This is another one. The first one I opened was sales data. That's the name of the database. But this one now is called sales database. Look at the tables I have under it. The branch data, the daily sales target, the sales table, and the sales target. That's the same data that we have for our Excel project. If you remember, the project that we did yesterday. These are the four tables that we used. And I have everything inside the table. And that table, I have everything inside the folder called the database, and everything is inside the sales database. So now let me just say something. Let me use select. I want to select dates from sorry. What's the name of sales table? Yes, look at the name of the table. This is the sales table. Sales table. Let's close this. Because I selected only the date, can you see the date came out? If I want to select more than the date, I'll put comma. Let's put
Sorry, please, where did you get this data set? Sorry.
you see the same data set that we used now yesterday.
Okay. So how did you bring it into?
No, we are going to be doing all of that. I'm just still showing you.
Okay.
So now look at this. Select date branch from sales table. Look at this. I can, if I do this, if I run, sorry, if I run this, can you see? It has selected the dates and the branch. The dates and the branch. If I want to add to it, I think there's another column. Let's put for another column. Quantity. Let's put quantity. So now I have the date, the branch, and the quantity. So this is what I'm calling query. I'm querying it. Do you understand? What if I want to select the whole column? I can write, what if my data has 35 or 36 columns? I can't be writing everything one by one. So if I want to select all the column, what do I do? So to select everything, everything in SQL is star, star. So select star. Star means everything. Select star from sales table. So I'm telling you that I want to see everything. If I run that, I'll have this. Can you see? This is the whole table. Have you seen it? This is the whole table. So I have the um date, branch, bidder sold, price, quantity, time range, and the sales price. So now I have all of this. So these are the ways we go query now. If you look at this now, this database is highlighted. That is because this is the database we are querying. If I'm asking this thing to select anything that is not inside this database, it will not go. It will throw an error. Let's open another database and let's see a table that is inside. Let me open this paper database, paper 21. There's a table called paper 21. Inside this our RDBMS, paper 21. Paper 21. Yes. I want to select all the whole columns inside paper 21. So if I run that, can you see? I have an error. I have an error. It's not bringing out anything.
Then it is
I have an error here already. So if you look at this,
This one
I have
is
all
my
of this.
ball. What you put there? Why are you looking suspicious? Why are you looking suspicious?
So I have this already, FIFA 21. FIFA 21. So if I run this, I will have an error because this is not what? This is the database I'm querying. I'm not querying FIFA. Now let me change this FIFA. Let me set as default schema. So now, if you look at it, FIFA is now selected. If I run this now, can you see? Our FIFA data is ready. Our FIFA data is ready. This is our FIFA data. So now this is I don't know what to say. This is what I'm trying to pass across to you. Like this is what we'll be doing. So we're doing a lot of writing, a lot of manipulation. Any question? Any question? I'm expecting one particular question and you people are not asking me that question. So that's the question I'm always getting. Okay. I'll ask myself on your behalf. And the question
So,
is,
sorry, I have a question.
Mr.
The
Ariel,
question,
I
yes,
think I'll answer your question.
yeah, I know we are fighting already because I sent you a DM. You have not responded to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, what's the question,
So
sir?
the question I want to ask is, to what end is this particular SQL? We are just trying to query database and stuff like that. So what are we using it for? Are we to get a particular? Are we having a kind of target what we want to achieve, like a project. You understand?
Yes.
So because
Yes.
what we are
Yes.
just saying is yes, databases.
Okay. Yes. You are okay. Let me kind of let me rephrase. What you meant is that why do we even need this, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Okay. Now, I used to say something as a data analyst. The most important tool that you must know, it is compulsory. The most important is SQL. Why? Because of that database. Now, because it is a folder, and one of the advantages of this is its scalability because of how large it can contain a lot of things. So now, the question I wanted to ask myself on behalf of you guys is still within that same thing. That why are we using this when we can easily do this on Excel, and Excel will do these things for us? Simple. Mr. Michael,
Excel
that's
can handle it. Once you pass 10,000 data points in Excel, it starts to crash.
it.
And
Thank you
most
very much.
databases for large corporations, they can generate that in a day, safe, talk less of when they run for, like, imagine all the data that something like Jumia or Konga or Amazon collects, for
Thank
example,
you.
it's millions of rows a day. So you can't
Thank
run
you.
that on Excel to crash. I don't even
Thank
think
you.
I run some. You
Thank
have
you
to
very
run,
much.
you have smaller chunks of, you have to streamline the data into smaller bits using something like SQL, and then you can analyze it and spit out results.
In fact, you said everything I wanted to say. So now I will explain again. Why are we using SQL? Now, assume you are working for MTN. You are working for MTN, and you have, for every transaction that is going on, you need to take data. For every call, for every subscription. Do you know how many data points MTN would have gathered today only? Today only. It's going to be millions of, and your Excel won't be able to handle that. It's not possible. So you need something that can handle that, which is going to be your what? Your SQL, something that has a database. So it is this database that will keep updating. Do you understand? It keeps updating. It handles as many as possible. So now, even if you want to import something now to Excel, you can reduce it. It might not be the whole table that you might need. It might be maybe the first three headers. That's all you need to analyze your data. Then you can query that out and take that to your Excel. With that, you reduced a lot of noise. When I say noise, I mean unnecessary information you will need for that specific project. So you've reduced the noise and you reduce the size. There was a time I was working on a project on Power BI. It was frustrating me. And Power BI would have given me, that it would have been easier for me using Power BI. But because it was large, it was just rolling. It was just rolling. Power BI was frustrating me. I had to come back to Python to solve my problem. So with SQL and Python, they are in terms of scalability and in terms of their processing, they are faster. You understand? So this is majorly what you would what we have our majority of those SQL files that we used to send to ourselves. They are I think the highest we sent is like 5 MB or so. When you see data files of like 5 gig, 10 gig, there are files like that. You have files for like 50 gig. What will happen? Do you think your exec can handle that? It will be hanging. It will not even open at first. You'll be thinking what's happening. Your system can even you'll be thinking what's happening. Everything will just be hot because it can't handle it. You are giving it something that you are giving it more than what it can handle. So that is why we are using this. And for everything that we did on our project yesterday, for every of those information that we did yesterday, we can actually do it on our SQL. Not the visualization. Because SQL will not visualize for you. But what I'm saying is, in terms of the result for what we wanted to get the pizza and the amount that was made for each pizza. That was the first visualization that we did yesterday. The amount that was made, the revenue that was made for each pizza. I can do that with my SQL. And let me do that. Let me go back to my SQL. Let me do something like that. I'll just show you. So you will see. It will come out as a table because obviously everything is always coming out as a table. Now, what is going to be the joy of this? I can connect my Power BI to this. I can connect my Power BI to this. And I can even, whatever table I have, I can visualize with my Power BI. I'm coming. Let me go back to sales. Let me set this as, hold on. I want to see sales price. Okay. This is okay. Look at what I want to do. Select. I want to select the pizza sold, comma, then the sum of what? The sum of the sales price. Just don't, you don't need to understand all of this. I'm just trying to do something. Sum of sales price from the sales table. Put by, yeah, pizza sold. Let's have this. So now, look at what I have here. If you look at this now, look at this end. Mixer, everything was around 1.6 million, followed by extravaganza. Extravaganza is around 1.8 million. Hold on, I'm coming. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I want to show you what we did yesterday. Oh yeah, oh. Hold on, it's loading. Okay, look at this. The first one that we saw, let me like this. The first one that we saw was okay. This is in terms of quantity. I want it in terms of um, quantity. So now, us pepperoni. Us pepperoni is around 4.2 million that was sold. Us pepperoni. So let's go back to our SQL and check us pepperoni.
You could have added a sort by descending so that it will tally with what you had on it.
I've even seen it. Look at it here. Us pepperoni. Now let me sort. Let me sort. Okay, I can even sort from here. Hold on. Look at it. Us pepperoni. Can you see us pepperoni is the first one, right? 4.2. This. And if I go back to, and the second one is chicken suya, right? Let me go back to my Power BI. Us pepperoni chicken suya. Can you see this is working? Now, this small table that I created on my SQL, let's assume that the database of this sales is large that I can't put it on my Power BI. But this small table that I generated, I can take this small table to my Power BI and I'll visualize with it. If I take this table to my Power BI now and I click on the bar chart, it will bring out the same bar chart that I brought out for me in my Power BI, right? It's still going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same thing as this. And I'll come here and I'll click on this bar chart and it will turn to this. See the same thing that is here, just like it's in table form. If I click on this now and I click on table, what I have here now, all pepperoni, this table here is what I have apart from this total sales. Let me remove this. This table that I have here is exactly what I have on my Power BI, on my SQL now. This is it here. So what if I now import this to my Power BI? I import this to my Power BI and I convert it back to this table. Hope you now understand what I'm trying to pass across. That is exactly what I'm trying to pass across. If you understand it.
How do you import it from SQL? You just
Uh-uh.
click it.
No, no, no. There are ways. Don't worry. When we get here,
Okay.
we
Okay.
have to do a project, and for every project we do, we visualize. So we use our Power BI to visualize again. And I said something that you can get your data from our SQL, from our Power BI. Sorry, when I was showing get data, and I clicked on more. Now, have you seen my
Okay.
SQL database?
Okay.
Have you seen it? My SQL database.
Yes.
So I can actually get data from any database from my SQL. But it's going to ask for my login details. That's why I said you should not forget your login details. Those details, those your password and everything. It's going to ask for those things. So that is the reason why I said okay, you shouldn't forget those things. And you can connect. That's why I said it is flexible in terms of accessibility. So any question, please let me know if you have any question.
Please, can this be used on your phone or something, or is it
No,
only for system?
I don't think so. I
Okay.
don't think you can use it on your phone. And I don't think it's even going to be effective if you are using it on your phone. I don't think it will be effective if you are using it on your phone.
So SQL is a compulsory, it's a very important tool that we must learn very well.
Yes, so yes. I'm waiting for your questions. Oh. No question. You've gotten to SQL now. You guys are not asking questions.
SQL is not that straightforward, so we have to assimilate first before we even know which questions to ask.
Yes, sir. I know.
It's when we start practicalizing it that we have questions.
I know there will be a lot of questions. By the time we start writing. And the funniest thing is, when we start writing, and this will happen to almost everybody. Because for a physical class that I was handling before, I used to handle physical classes. I had that issue. And it's a normal thing. Especially when you're working on your own. What I type or what I write. So for you to rewrite it, you just notice that you're not writing it very well. I don't know if you are getting what I'm saying. But don't worry, when we start, you'll see. When you talk about comma, when you're not putting the comma, you're getting error, and you're thinking, what's the error now? And you don't know that it's because of comma. And for you to now see that it's comma that is giving you issue, you will think and think and think, what is this? I'm writing it the way this person is writing it. You look at the spelling, it's the same thing. You'll be like, I'm tired. You know that see there will be a lot of, and that's why I'm preparing your mind. You just don't have to give up. You don't have to give up on this thing. You always you always that's why you have a WhatsApp group. Someone would have done it. Someone would have done it. They'll be like, okay, what did you do? I'm still getting this error. I'm still getting this error. So please and please. The reason why I'm telling you this is that I'm now telling you that this this might not be as smooth as the way it has been before. Because there are a lot of frustration that will come. Even from the installation, there are frustrations already. From the installation. For my last class, someone's system could not even handle MySQL. You had to use another RDBMS entirely. So in class, while others are using MySQL, we were using Postgres or something. I don't know what happened to it. And it was using a very good system. But the system could not download MySQL. It was not just downloading it. I collected the system. I downloaded it myself. I was still having issues. I had to download another one for you. So please and please, to learn a skill is not going to be it's not going to be as smooth as the way you think it's going to be.
Sorry, I wanted to ask one question. In the process of downloading, after the test connection, the app is supposed to be on your desktop, the application.
Okay, okay. I understand what you're saying. In the sense that you want
A
you want it
shortcut.
to
He's
be
talking
somewhere
about
else.
a shortcut.
The shortcut, right?
Yes, to
I
be
think
on
majority of
the
it's not going to be there. You will not see it.
ah
So you can just come to search and click on workbench. When I click on workbench, have you seen it? This is it, my SQL workbench.
okay.
So you can just click on it and you open it from there. So once you do that and you open it, you can just pin it. Once you open it, you just right click from here and you pin it. You pin it to your tag bar. It's going to stay here. Or you can just add this as a shortcut. That's really nothing.
Sorry, sir. I didn't see where you clicked that we should pin it. I didn't see that.
Just when you come here, if you want to pin something, you know when you open any software or any application, it's going to be here, right? It's going to be down. So if you right click on it, if I right click on this now, and come, let me open something else. Okay, let me right click on the word. Have you seen pin to taskbar? So you can just click on that pin. So even if you close it, it's still going to be on this taskbar. You will understand.
Yes.
So I think I can stop the recording now. That's the end of this class.